Hello and welcome to Aliens Revealed Live. I'm your host, Dean Caporella, here on the Paranormal UK Radio Network. Alien abductions, monster-infested ranches, men in black, near-death experiences, close encounter experiences and more. We speak to some of the most amazing people on the planet ready and willing to share their chilling stories with you. And they all come from the Aliens Revealed Live files here on the Paranormal UK Radio Network. Well, Brazil is one of the countries with the highest impact of UFOs in the world. Brazil can also lay claim to some of history's most dangerous UFO sightings. UFO cases that occur in Brazil are among the most spectacular in all UFO literature. So why do contact experiences there appear to be more dangerous and in some cases deadly? Thiago Luiz Ticchetti is president of the Brazilian Commission of Ufologists and has researched the UFO phenomenon for more than 22 years. Ticchetti is also the author of 11 books, but his latest offering, UFO Contacts in Brazil, is sure to be his best. Many of the UFO Brazil cases highlighted in the book are very dramatic. In fact, so dramatic, it's likely to make the hair stand up on the back of its readers' necks. Horror movie producers could make a living just using the different UFO Brazil cases in the book as plots for their Hollywood blockbusters. There are dozens of dramatic cases in the book with over 300 illustrations. It's a tremendously written and visual depiction on Brazilian UFO activities that readers should savour. So what makes Brazil such a UFO hotspot? The size of the country for starters, the fact that Brazil is located in South America, one of the world's biggest UFO hotspots, naturally makes it prone to UFO activity. However, what seems to set Brazil apart from most other hotspots is the extreme nature of the close encounter incidents that happen there. Ticchetti has updated 4 very famous cases that mesmerised the planet when they occurred. If some of Brazil's most famous cases had occurred in the United States, what would the fallout be? Well, it's safe to say they would have gone down in folklore, rivaling other famous UFO events, cases such as Roswell and the Battle of Los Angeles. The Varghinha case, Operation Prato, the Antonio Vilas Boas case and the Ubatuba case are extreme UFO incidents that occurred in Brazil. So has new evidence emerged on these cases? Ticchetti hopes the UFO community will understand just how groundbreaking and important these events were in the UFO timeline. They spanned a 50-year period from 1946 through to 1996. These cases are the foundation for one of the best collection of UFO reports ever presented to the public. I asked why Brazil's UFO cases were so spectacular. While Ticchetti didn't have a definitive answer, he pointed to the country's rich vein of natural resources as a starting point, and that seems to make plenty of sense. South America has a rich history of UFO phenomenon, and Brazil seems to be at the centre of much of it. Thiago Luiz Ticchetti joins us now. Hi, Thiago.
Thank you, Dean. Thank you, everybody.
Of course, the book we're talking about is UFO Contacts in Brazil. It's a big book too. I took a look at it the other day. Now there's just dozens and dozens of cases in the book with about 300 illustrations and all on Brazilian UFO activity. So what makes Brazil such a UFO hotspot?
Well, this question is very hard to answer because Brazil is a big country, like a continent. Mm-hmm. And we have a lot of mineral resources, and we have natural resource of all kind. And many people say that because the water we have or the minerals that we have under the ground. So I don't know, but as a big country, I'm pretty sure that's why we have a lot of cases.
All right, well, let's look at 4 in particular that are in the book and really captured my imagination. They are the Varghinha case, Operation Prato, Antonio Vilas Boas, and the Ubatuba case. So has any new evidence emerged on any one of these?
Yeah, the Varghinha case is a UFO crash in Brazil in 1996, and the aliens were rescued by Brazilian militaries and then sent to United States. Well, the last news that we have is about one of the soldiers that work at Secret Service of the Army in Brazil, and he touched, without gloves or without any kind of protection, he touched the creature, and he died. A week later, he got a bad fever and dizzy and nauseous, and he died a week later. And what we know is that only now, years after the case, is that his family got the report of his death. Almost 20 years, almost 30 years after the case, we never got the report of his death. And he was buried in a flat coffin. Mm-hmm. It's like to prevent radiation or some kind of toxic stuff. And they was burning like in something like that. Well, if he just died because some kind of infection, normal infection, it wouldn't be necessary to put in a lead coffee. So it's very strange, and we're still looking for documents. We have testimonies of 2 militaries that participate of the rescue of the UFO and aliens, but they're still alive and they're still in the army, and they cannot say nothing. They afraid to say something, and something get wrong with them.
Yeah. So what did the creature look like? What type of alien was it?
Well, do you have images? Do you have a film or just audio? We have a video or audio?
No, we got vision. Yep.
Oh, okay. So let's show you. The Varghinha, the aliens is just like this.
Wow.
Look at.
Okay.
Red eyes, big head, skin color, and this 3, horns in his head. We don't know if they're horns or some kind of helmet. And he was very thin and very short. And this one, when he was found by 3 girls, he was like very afraid. He was crouched in the ground, so very afraid.
Mm-hmm. So that case is still ongoing. They haven't determined anything yet.
Yeah, the case is not closed. Well, the army made a report saying that the alien was a person with some kind of strange face and something like that. This is called it mudinho, like he cannot talk. And the army report said that what the girls saw was a person. Mm-hmm. But many people saw it, military saw it, and military told us that what they got was not a human at all.
Yeah. That would almost be unprecedented in ufology, somebody dying from touching an alien.
Yeah, I never heard it. We have here in Brazil, we have this case that a soldier, a person, touched the alien and got sick, some kind of infection, alien infection, and got dead. But we have another case in Brazil, João Prestes, that back in 46, he got hit by a light, shot by a UFO that hit him in the arm, and he started to get dizzy and sick, and literally his flesh started to get out of his bones.
Wow.
He died as well.
Like his flesh was being eaten?
No, just melting. Like melting.
Yeah. Like radiation.
Yeah, like radiation. That's it.
Wow.
That's in 1946.
Yeah. The next one I wanted to look at was a series of UFO sightings that occurred in 1977 on Colares, a Brazilian island. And during the outbreak, the UFOs allegedly attacked the citizens with intense beams of radiation that left burn marks and puncture wounds. What's the update on that case?
Yeah, this case is called the plate operation, in Portuguese, Operação Prato. Everything started in the October 77. Thousands of people of several cities, including Colares in Pará state, north of Brazil, they have been attacked by some kind of lights, of different shapes of lights. So during the day, during the night, no matter, they were walking the city or sleeping inside this house. These houses, a beam of light came from the sky, from these lights, the ships, and it hit them on arms and a woman under the breasts, and left 3 marks. And all the people that got hit by this light that went to the hospital, the doctor is like just a nurse. There's no doctor. She was just a nurse. The people got anemia. So the things sucked their blood, or at least changed their bloods. And as we know, officially, one person died because of it, because of this attack. But we know that much more must be died because this attack occurred in several cities in north of Brazil. Brazil is so big. In north of Brazil, like Amazonia and Pará, the cities are so far from each other, very far from each other. So if people have died back the time, 97 or 97-8, we never know. We never know.
Yeah. Do you know whether people actually made a full recovery?
Yes. Well, when this started, the mayor of Colares asked to the Brazilian Air Force to send some officials to investigate what's going on, and they sent a crew that was headed by Captain Holanda, and they camp in Colares and in other cities, and they shot more than 200 photos and 25 hours of film of UFOs. They filmed the UFOs and they shot, and they have photos of these UFOs. Many of these photos are in my book, but the film was never released. We had with the Brazilian government and Brazilian Army and Air Force in 2013 and 2015, and we asked for another photos, and we asked for the films, and they said, well, we don't have it, we lost it, we don't know where is it. But Captain Holanda told us back in 1997 that they have films. We filmed the UFOs. We took photos, and we have a lot of reports. And all these reports, more than 3,000 of pages of reports with drawings, some with photos, is available on the internet. Because our efforts against the government to release it is a very, very amazing case that is still going on, because we don't have the photos and the films. We're still looking for it. Yeah.
Is this a case where initially the government tried to suppress it? They didn't want this getting out?
Yes. It's all kind of government does it. It was a secret operation, but the cases grew so much. Thousands of people are leaving the town. Many of towns became ghost towns. So there's impossible to hide what was going on back there. So the government still kept investigation, but without hiding it, because it's impossible.
Yeah. Well, one of the first alien abduction cases to receive worldwide attention, and Antonio Vilas Boas, he stuck to his story throughout his life, despite the skeptics continuing to claim it was a hoax. So is there an update on that story?
Well, this case is very well known around the world. It's the first case of alien abduction, before even that Barney and Beth Hill. And also the first time that a human being reports that had sex with an alien being. So in 1957, Vilas Boas was abducted and then forced to have sex with a female alien.
Wow.
And this case was very, very, very well documented with drawings and reports, and the reports of Antônio Vilas Boas. He never changed a word of what he said since the beginning. He never gained nothing, money, nothing with that. He had a great experience, an amazing experience, and he kept his words. Even he died until he's dead.
Did he ever describe what the alien looked like?
Yes, the aliens were in a green suit with a helmet with tubes coming out of the tubes. They never take off the helmet with a glass in front of it. But the woman was very similar to the alien was very similar with a woman, human race.
So it had a lot of it had a lot of human characteristics.
Yes, she was blonde, short, with small eyes. It's like a woman with breasts and something genitals, like a woman. But the aliens that took him into the UFO, he never saw their faces. So I don't know how they look like, but the alien, female alien, was very similar to humans.
Right. Okay. And one of the most controversial of all physical evidence cases was the Ubatuba case in 1957, where reports of a flying disc exploding over the beach at Ubatuba. What's the update on this?
Well, this case is amazing because it was witnessed by several people on the beach, and many parts of the UFO that exploded but people on the beach, and some parts of it was sent in 1957 were sent to a newspaper in Rio de Janeiro to analyze that. And the Brazilian Navy tried to analyze that and sent to some laboratories in the United States. But they had no conclusion. They discovered that some kind of minerals like magnesium were so pure that was impossible to be found on Earth. So people said, well, it's a meteor, something like that. No, it's not, because the witness said that was a disc, UFO, like a shape of a disc, like a flying disc, a classic flying disc that exploded. It was coming towards the beach and then start shake and explode. And some parts of this piece of the UFO is still here. We have one part in Argentina by Andrea Simondini in the Museo of UFO in Victoria, Entre Rios, Victoria, Argentina. She has a small piece of this UFO. Jacques Vallée visited them 3 months ago, and took a part of this UFO debris of the UFO and sent to analyze it. And they cannot discover where it come from, because the minerals are so different that we have here that just must be foreign, like extraterrestrial.
Yeah, it sounds similar to a case over here that Linda Moulton Howe has followed very closely over 20 years. I think you've heard of like the bismuth metal, and it's part of a UFO. It was sent in by the grandson of one of the people, I think, involved in the cleanup back in the 40s, and the minerals involved there are unusual. The fact that I think there's 3 main minerals. I think magnesium may be one, but the fact that they're in there together has, I think, baffled a lot of mineral experts. So
yeah, this is a hard evidence we have. I just think that this material must be really, really investigate important laboratories around the world. We must have a hard evidence in our hands, and we are wasting it.
Mm-hmm.
We have the chance to prove that we have been visited with evidence. Like, I know that Roswell as well had that evidence, but this one is in our hands.
Yeah, yeah. Just something about UFO cases in Brazil, and they're definitely not boring, are they? They have a spectacular nature to them, and people actually get hurt.
Yeah, we have many of these cases in Brazil. This book has more than 500 pages, have more than 300 photos or illustrations, and more than 100 of cases. And to write this book, I have more than 600 books in my house. And to write this book, I researched many of these books, of my books. And I found just a few cases where the aliens, are aggressive or cause some injuries in humans. We can say what happened in 1954 in Venezuela, when a truck driver was hit by 3 aliens with hard skin, like little monkeys with a helmet.
Mm-hmm.
But above it, only in Brazil we have this type of cases. We have in Canada as well, but just that marks on the chest.
Yeah.
But in Brazil we have a lot of type of cases. We have abductions, we have UFO crashes, we have alien recovery, we have sightings, we have photos, we have a plenty of types of sightings of all kinds, since close encounter from the zero grade to the 6th grade. We have a lot.
Yeah, yeah. If you've got a couple of minutes, can you let us know, are there any other cases you highlight in the book, maybe even more spectacular than the 4 we just talked about?
Well, the more spectacular, the 4 is very, very hard because they are very good. But I like one that happened here in Brasilia in 1996, where 3 businessmen are coming to Brasilia after some business in another state, and they were followed by a huge UFO, brilliant UFO. And in one part of the trip, in Lago Norte, is a neighborhood here in Brasilia, Lago Norte, like a North Lake, the UFO just hovered the street over the highway, and they stopped it. And they were so afraid, they said, well, we have to pass it. And they passed it under the UFO.
Wow.
And the UFOs keep chasing them until they got the Paraná Dawn here in Brasilia. And the UFO just hovered the water of the Dawn, just making some waves in the water.
Mm-hmm.
And one of these businessmen had a son that was a professional photographer. And he called him, and he came and took 36 photos of that UFO. Amazing photos, very clear photos of that thing. But the best is when they are stopping in a road, watching the UFO and taking photos. 2 policemen stop it, and one of these policemen had a hand camera. And he started to film the UFO. For 4 minutes, he filmed the UFO until the UFO just disappear, accelerate and disappear. And he showed this video for everybody. He showed this video in his battalion with a lot of other policemen. Mm-hmm. And they showed to the press and showed to us, the ufologists. We investigate this case. We investigate this video, and we concluded that was not a balloon, was not an airplane, it was not an helicopter. Well, in 1996, we didn't have drones, so it's impossible. And the shape of the UFO, one of these businessmen said, it looked like a cross. Another one said it looked like a cylinder. And in a photo that I have that is in the book, the UFO look like a hot dog. It's amazing.
Wow.
I don't know if the UFO shape it and changing his shape, but it's amazing. And this case is one of the best documented in Brasilia. It's a very, very good case, it's reported, related in detail in my book.
Yeah, yeah. After listening to some of the reports, do you have a percentage rate of people who believe in UFO and aliens in Brazil? Is it high?
Well, the people do believe it. Many of the people believe it, but they believe that we are not alone in the universe. But not everybody believes that they can come to our planet. That's why. That's a bigger reason. Well, I'm convinced that they do. They come from another planet. They have some technology that made possible to travel around the universe and visit another planets. The government here in Brazil is not very interested here in UFO phenomena. Right. We have a lot of bigger problems here, We have political problems, right? Economic problems. We have a lot of problems here. So aliens and UFO are not in a government agenda. Unfortunately, they are not.
Yeah. Is there pushback on witnesses from the government or organisations related to the government when they report UFO sightings? Do they get discouraged from releasing what they found?
You mean Men in Black?
Well, I guess, yeah. I mean, that was going to be my next question. Do you have the Men in Black in Brazil?
No, we don't have Men in Black. What we had in Varghinha case, for example, the witnesses was visited by some official from Air Force that offered to them some amount of money to stop saying what they are saying, and to stop to say that what they saw was a mistake. Yeah. And the girls didn't accept it. So there's no threat at all. Here in Brazil, I never heard something like that. Of course, if you see something, police or Air Force go to interview to get some information, but treat like a Men in Black in the United States or in the UK, no, it never happened here.
Right. Thiago, are you a one-man UFO crusade in Brazil, or do you have an army of investigators?
No, we have a lot of investigation. The Revista Ufo magazine in Brazil, we have more than a dozen of UFO investigators. We have a very, very important groups here in Brazil. We have a very ufologists here in Brazil, and we are all together to discover and make the government release all the documents. We still have it yet. The Brazilian Commission of Ufologists, CBU, in Brazil, that I'm president right now, that we have an agenda with the government to ask for the release of documents of Varghinha case, of plate operation, Ubatuba, and Trinidad Island photos. And we have every type of campaign to make the society of Brazil believe that we have been visited by UFOs and aliens from other planets.
Okay. I recently read a report that says Brazil will be the first country on Earth to accept and embrace official contact. Do you believe that?
Well, what we have is when a pilot sees something in the sky, a UFO in the sky, they call hotel traffic. They can report it, officially report it to the Air Force, civilian or military pilot. They report it to the Brazilian Air Force, and then it is investigate by the Air Force, and then this report is released to the National Archives. Well, this is stopped in 2014. They stopped to do it. We never got a new documents of it. But Brazil, I think we are a country of very, very free country.
Yeah.
People here has a freedom to speech, to think, to say what they want and what they believe. But the government, as I said, never officially said that we have been visited by aliens. No.
Yeah. With your research and your sources, do you think there's any collaboration, say, between Brazilian government, the United States government, the British government? Do you think there's that collaboration between world governments?
I do. It's a black collaboration, in my opinion. For example, the Varghinha case. We got UFO crashed. We got 4 aliens. And what happened? We send it to United States. And why I say that? Because we have testimonies, military testimony that say that the aliens were put in a truck, and in the week after what happened in Varghinha, a black airplane from NASA from United States landed in Varghinha. Something very unusual, because Varghinha Airport is a small airport, and they landed there, and trucks from Army got to the airport and put something inside the airplane. And some time later, we had the first Brazilian astronaut in space.
Wow. Okay.
So I don't know if it was a present to us.
It's good to have friends in high places.
So I'm not saying that what happened, but few time later we had an astronaut in space.
And there's 4 Brazilian aliens buried deep underground somewhere in the United States.
Of course, on area 51 or 52 or 53, I don't know.
Yeah. Thiago, the Brazilian Academy of Ufology, you guys actually have courses on ufology for people.
Yes, we do. We have a field guide certification that the people have to study and make a test to get this certificate. And then we also, together with the Revista Ufo for Magazine Brazil, led by A.J. Gevaer, very known in all of the world. We make congress and make conference that we show what's going on with the ufology in the world, and we also try to teach and learn from people. Yeah. So this is why this is the way we're trying to get people involved.
Okay, last couple of questions. Do you have any thoughts on disclosure?
Well, I think we're never going to have a full disclosure. I got this book from Nick Dolan, Richard Dolan.
Richard Dolan.
It's an amazing book. After this after the disclosure, it's a great book. And he shows 3 options: a full disclosure, a half disclosure, and a lie disclosure. I believe that we're going to have is a half disclosure. They never gonna do a full disclosure, because if they do so, they will have to admit that they have been lying for decades.
Yep.
And what they're gonna say to those people that they accuse it to say that you are a liar, you're a mental illness, something like that, and the people lost jobs, lost families, lost their lives for a lie, a bigger lie. So I think that they're going to be a medium, a half disclosure. Well, from this point forward, we can say that we have been visited. We can say what's going on, but that point back, they will not tell that was true. They cannot say that. There's no way.
Yeah, I've often wondered if there is full disclosure, what will that do for people like you? I mean, will you still be involved in ufology?
Of course. More than ever, would be my chance to ask everything that I want. I want all the documents. I want to see it because I'm an ufologist because I love it. Mm-hmm. But I'm an ufologist also because I have my own questions that I have to answer. That's why I research. That's why I read. That's why I write. That's why I like ufologists, because I want to answer my questions, my personal questions above all.
Yeah. Thiago, UFO Contacts in Brazil is a fantastic book. It'll make a great Christmas present for someone.
Yeah, of course. As I said, more than 500 pages and 300 photos. Yep. Some photos never seen before, and 300 photos and illustrations. Many cases that not known for out of Brazil.
And it's available on Amazon?
On Amazon.com, yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Well, Thiago, great to have you on, and really appreciate your time. You're a very busy man. And let's talk again soon.
Thank you very much.
That's Brazilian UFO researcher and author Thiago Luiz Ticchetti. Spiritual connection with ETs and interdimensional beings has been part of Rebecca Hardcastle-Wright's life since childhood. Since her first spiritual experience, Hardcastle-Wright has been on a journey of discovery. Now she has arrived at a place where she not only understands what she is experiencing, but can pass on her knowledge to others.
Well, I grew up in this little town called Clarksburg, West Virginia, and there's a lot of mining there. It's a mining state. So the ground is very porous, quite frankly, there. I don't know what that has to do with the lack of gravity or the density, but the underground is not dense. It's porous. And it's full of minerals. And as a child, I was allowed a lot of freedom. I just went out the front door and explored and moved around and discovered things. And in that process of my childhood of discovery, frequently I met psychic beings that came to me. Some were extraterrestrials, took me up into a ship and spoke with me, took me to what I would term today Star School, where there was a lot of teaching about symbols, about sound, different forms of healing, different forms of communication and expression, all with an extraterrestrial environment. Beings, different kinds of beings. Some people ask me, what kind of being am I? I think I'm more like a Heinz 57 because, and I think many of us are, because we have a lot of genetic and spiritual and conscious connection to these different races of extraterrestrials that have been present on Earth for as long as Earth has been here, probably. In terms of going underground, that I think was more of a type of shamanic experience. As I got older, I started to see it like that. But as a child, I had a very, very extreme impression of being pulled under the ground by these beings. But the interesting thing is, I never was really afraid. I don't know what I was thinking, but when you're a child, you just sort of, well, this is part of my life, so I guess I'll just partake of it. And I was pulled under. I met these interdimensional beings under the ground. And now that I've kind of studied what happened to me and what continues to happen to me today, I see that it's probably part of what the shamanic tradition was that I innocently stumbled upon as a child. And it's throughout the history of religious mysticism. It's in part of indigenous tribes and their rituals. So it's really quite a commonplace thing for humans to experience.
That's Rebecca Hardcastle right. When you wrap your head around what you're about to hear, you're likely to be ready for spiritual connection. But it's a topic that can take some understanding, and it's coming up on the next episode of the Aliens Revealed Live Files, and you won't want to miss it. Thanks for being with us. Don't forget to check out our site at arlhub.com. That's arlhub.com, and as always, keep looking upwards and take care.